A vector is a unit with magnitude and direction.
For example, this creature's path is a vector with a movement of 3 inches and an upwards angle of 45 degrees. Vectors represent two-dimensional motion, meaning they are on the x and y planes. Though this doesn't mean they have to start at the origin if they maintain the same slope. Vectors have a certain way to write their coordinates by having the x-coordinate on top of the y-coordinate in the brackets.
To add vectors, you add their coordinates together and plot the vector. You do this by adding A's x-coordinate and B's x-coordinate to get -1. You do the same for both of their y-coordinates. You then plot the vector. You can prove this vector is accurate by drawing the vector you are adding to the head of the first vector's arrows. You can see they match and come at the same point.
Subtracting vectors is just like adding vectors, but instead of adding the vectors, you subtract them. If made right, these vectors can make two triangles that together make a parallelogram.
After the football moves 4 feet, Callum then flicked it. It traveled at a 45-degree angle upward 5 feet. In order to reach the goal, the vectors of the football moving horizontally and upward had to be added. Vectors are a part of the geometry branch of math, or the study of shapes, lines, and their relationships.
Vectors play a role in physics. With the video of the pen dropping, to find the velocity or speed and direction, the downward vector displacement of the pen is needed to be solved. In engineering, vectors are used a lot. When an object is being pushed or pulled up a hill, the distance that it travels is the magnitude. The slope of the hill is the direction. These things make a vector. Vectors in engineering are used to calculate forces. The forces in engineering that need to be calculated are screws, levers, and pulleys. Vectors also relate to chemistry when determining the polarity of a molecule. After drawing the Lewis dot configurations, the atom closer to a full valence shell has a stronger pull from the other parts of the molecule and is represented with dipoles similar to vector arrows. The same process of adding vectors is used to determine if the molecule is polar or not, in addition to the electromagnetic forces. Vectors are an interesting topic. I want to go into engineering, and as seen on the video, vectors are needed to create the most mechanically advantageous device. At first I wanted to do matrices, but after me and Callum researched further, we realized that vectors are so much easier to solve and be applied to the real world. When doing this project, I learned that vectors apply to many other fields other than just math and physics. It also helped me understand my chemistry homework more.